house I built for the next generation family in my 1900s. This is the picture here that I was using for inspiration. I tried to get as close to that as I could, but I was also looking at a few other pictures, so I think it came out okay in the end, but I had a lot of trouble with the front porch. I took my time on it. I liked the idea of having a little rounded turret and using the brick, which I thought would be really pretty. So I don't know. It took a lot of time. I've fiddled around with it so much, so sorry if it's not super exciting, but I like watching how other people build, so I thought some people might enjoy the process a little bit. So, but I'm not sure. When I built this, I wasn't sure who I was going to have move in right away, but I knew this was the house I wanted to use for the air. So, and I fiddled around with the tower piece there because the roof on the tower was a little funky in the picture, but I couldn't get it quite the way I wanted it, so I just did the best I could with it. Trying to get the angles and stuff, because stuff from the early 1900s really had a lot of angles and a lot of detail, really. So I used some of the vampire windows and the gable there from the vampires just to make it look more interesting. I had a lot of fun with it. Like I said, doing the porch was the most challenging. If you remember from the picture, there was like the basic front porch, and then actually at the top there was like a fake balcony, and I wanted to still incorporate that, but it was like a rounded balcony. So that was challenging. I'm not so good with the porches and all that stuff, so yeah. And then trying to do those frieze pieces, they're super glitchy. I spent a good bit of time in debug trying to figure out if I could make my own columns for the porch, because I was trying to find things to match the picture. And I wasn't quite finding what I wanted, so I decided to just decorate the wall, do the wallpapers a while. And I like this brick. It's a little worn looking, but it was a little more crisp than some of the other ones because I wanted it to look a little more high class for this house. And then trying to have the trim pieces stick out without them messing up the roof line was a pain in the butt. I'm sure there's probably a way to do it, but I am not skilled enough to figure it out because I am not gifted when it comes to building. I can do a lot of things, but there's a lot of fancy stuff that I just can't do. And then I was trying to make the bottom part round to match the top, and I had such a hard time with it, and then I think I ended up just leaving it squared. And what I couldn't fix, shrubbery can hide, so. And I remember I said I wanted the top of it to be like a fake balcony, so there was no door up there. I did give it a stone foundation because a lot of houses that were older houses do have stone foundation, so it's pretty common to have a stone foundation and then have brick on top of that. So I live in a house like that. And then to figure out where in the world to maneuver the staircase. I know in a normal 1900s house they would have that staircase right front and center in front of that doorway usually. But it didn't quite work so well in this house. I didn't want it to be a ginormous mansion. So the rooms are kind of small and closed off, but that was normal back then too. They didn't necessarily have ginormous houses, especially in town like this. I mean, this Newcrest is going to be hopefully a town over so many generations and building different decades of houses. We're going to just hopefully move to different lots and stuff, you know, so now I'm just kind of doing a little bit of placement of furniture and carpets and stuff just to see for the fit of things. And I did look up some pictures online of just basic decoration of things in the 1900s to see if I could get a general idea of what, you know, I could make a living room look like or whatever. And according to the rules, I am allowed to have electric lamps, I believe. I can't find the rules offhand, but I'm sure I'll discuss it next time when we go full-fledged into the 1900s with the next generation. And I did allow for indoor plumbing because I think technically in the guidelines that's not for another decade. But when I looked it up online, a lot of townhomes, like especially places owned by wealthier people, had plumbing. It was pretty common in the early 1900s. So I gave them indoor plumbing because I figure if you're living in town, you're probably less likely to have an outhouse out the back. So we did that. That was kind of a thing I wanted to do. I mean, I didn't mind the outhouse outside so much. I just didn't really want to ruin the look of the house. Plus, the turret was perfect for putting the bathroom in because I didn't know what else to put in there. And the vampire toilet worked nicely, especially that gravity-assisted water. That was pretty common back in the early days. I am putting a little bit of knickknacks and doodads in the bathroom. I don't know how many knickknacks and doodads they would have really had in a 1900s bathroom, but I don't care. Yeah, I don't know if they had like a lot of indoor plumbing like with tubs, but I knew that the gravity-assisted toilets were not completely uncommon. So I figured worst comes to worst, I could pretend they were filling up the clawfoot tub with hot water buckets and then just using the gravity-assisted toilets. I don't know. It's my game. I can do what I want within reason. And they're allowed to have carpets, like area rugs on the hardwood floors. And I definitely wanted to make sure the kitchen was closed off and not real large because they didn't have large fancy kitchens. They were kind of small and closed off, but I did want the dining room to be a decent size. And I built this house way before the infant update. So there's definitely not going to be any space to lay babies down and do tummy time and all that stuff. I'm still haven't figured out how I'm going to do that because I don't want to take the pack out and manage that way because you can do a lot of stuff with that, and you wouldn't need like the floor mats and stuff, but I don't know. You might just have to really imagine. And I made sure the ceilings were tall because I've lived in several early 1900s and 1910s homes, and they often had tall ceilings, and mainly on the first floor. The second floor didn't usually have as high ceilings as the first floor, but the first floor was the main floor, and definitely usually more grand than the second floor, so they had the taller ceilings and stuff. So, like I said before, I did not make the floors on the second floor as tall as the first floor. And now I gotta try and cram in some bedrooms. And also normally older homes didn't have multiple bathrooms, but I did go ahead and just do multiple bathrooms because it worked out, because what else was I gonna stick in that tiny little turret? So some tiny little bathrooms. A little scandalous having the tub right in front of the windows, but what are you gonna do? And we're allowed to have wallpapers. I just tried to make them look kind of classy and elegant. Not too fancy, just the stripies and some plain, some wainscoting and stuff. I'm decorating the porch a bit. I didn't realize that bouquet is clipping. I think I fixed that later. I did stick with sconces. I did do some ceiling lights, but I did mainly sconces because I figured we could pretend if we had to that it was more of a gas lighting situation, the electric lighting, because I think some houses before they switched to electric did have gas lighting. So, just kind of playing around with the ideas here. Trying to make the bedrooms a little bit bigger. And I'm also remembering that, like I said, older houses didn't have a lot of big open spaces, so the rooms were small, the hallways were narrow, so it was pretty awkward trying to get things to fit the way I wanted. And I wanted more than just 2 bedrooms. I was trying to squeeze in 3. It was a challenge. Also trying to make them all fit. I think that, like I said, it's not perfect, but I wasn't sure at this point how many kids we would have because you're still required for this challenge to try for baby, because contraception back in the 1900s was limited at best. I'm already setting up for an infant and a toddler, because I know at least want one kid, maybe two. I'm not sure how much we're going to have, but like I said, we are limited on space, so I'm not sure how that's going to work out. But we have a baby room ready to go, and then a spare, so it should go pretty good. And I think the rooms are big enough for the Sims to move around pretty well. But like I said, when you have to train the babies or teach them so they can get their milestones, it's going to be tight. I'm not sure how it's going to work. I may have to put like the toddler bed in inventory, household inventory, until we actually need it. Or just train the baby outside. Hopefully it's not the middle of winter. But I don't know. Like I said, it's a tight fit. But I wanted it fully furnished before I loaded onto the gallery. So if anybody wanted it, it'd be ready to go. I guess we could technically clear out a bedroom, the second bedroom, just for having space for training or whatever of the infants until we actually needed it for an older kid, but we'll just have to see how it goes then, I guess. But I think it's coming along really nice. I really like the look of it. I'm planning on building another 1900s home for her sister, since they're twins, and I'm going to have them side by side, but I wanted it to be a completely different style. So, and I already did build that. I mean, you guys would have seen that in the last episode if anybody's watched that. I already moved their boyfriends, quote unquote, in, so the houses are there. So I'll try and post that speed build that house too. That one's more of a colonial style, like a basic square house, no turrets, no fancy knit. I mean, it does have some fancy decoration, but it's a little more basic in its shape. I'm pulling out some debug landscaping here. I had really no idea what I want to do, but I hate searching for landscaping and debug, so I kind of whip out a bunch of stuff and then just fiddle around with it until I manage to make what I want work. Yeah, using some bushes here to kind of fix up the porch area since it's a little funky on the bottom. I figured it's going to be a house for a wealthy person, and I should have put the foundation down before doing the debug, but I didn't, so here we are. Just managing. I didn't want to have to put it down again and then redo the foundation, so I just didn't bother trying to get the plants too close to the foundation. I did put a swing set out back for the kids to play on. They had swing sets in the 1900s. Honestly, I don't know how common they were in people's backyards, but why not? So here we are coming to the end. I think I was getting ready to... Yeah, I put another Victorian that I had done a long time ago on there just to pop one of her siblings in, or just to have. So that showed up, that pink one. That's in the gallery if anybody wants to look for it. But just putting some trees in the backyard for some shade. I don't usually get too crazy with decorating the backyard. Plus, in the 1900s, I didn't want to go full-blown garden. I think some people would have had a nice formal garden possibly in the backyard, but honestly, I didn't want to bother. And they probably would have had a mailbox on the door, like through a slot back in the 1900s, but I did the street mailbox. I didn't have a mailbox that would look right, I think, for the 1900s for the wall with the packs I had at the time. But there we go. It's pretty much done. And it is on the gallery if anybody's interested. I downloaded it. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. 1900s brick traditional. So, hope you guys enjoyed this speed build. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.